Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the District 200 School Board Candidate Forum. My name is Christy Barse, and I'm president of the Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce, and we are pleased to co-host tonight's event with the Hastings Community Television. We'd like to start by thanking all of our candidates, not only for their decision to run in this election, but for joining us tonight. We ask that audience members please be quiet, kind, and respectful during this forum, and hold all applause until the end. Here is the format for tonight's event. Candidates will each have 1 minute for an introduction and will have 1 minute to respond to each question. All questions submitted via email were reviewed by a committee and categorized to cover 5 major topics. In respect of time, we are able to ask 6 questions at tonight's forum. Our timekeeper is Michelle Chumslin, and candidates, Michelle will hold up a yellow sign when you have 15 seconds left and a red sign when your minute is up. Please be sure to stop when your minute is up. Tonight we are excited to have Dietrich Niesen as our forum moderator. Dietrich is a skilled presenter and regional Emmy award-winning digital media communications professional with more than 15 years of professional communications experience, ranging from broadcast TV news to film and commercials, government, corporate, small business, and nonprofit media productions. Please welcome tonight's moderator, Dietrich Niesen.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you to all the candidates for being here. It's important we all serve the community. So, we're going to start with introductions. And we're going to be starting immediately to my left with Jessica Dressley. Jessica, if you...
Thank you all for attending tonight's forum. My name is Jessica Dressley. My husband and I have been Hastings residents since 2008. We have 2 amazing children that both attend Hastings Public Schools. Being a stay-at-home mom for the past 13 years has allowed me to be an involved advocate in my child's academic development. It has also allowed me to gain experience with the Parent-Teacher Association. I've had over a decade of experience working with parents, teachers, and administrators at McCullough Elementary, Hastings Middle School, and Hastings High School. These experiences have given me an in-depth look inside our district schools and have strengthened my ability and my commitment to serve our community.
Scott, if you would.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Scott Gergen. I'm a lifelong resident of Hastings. I was born here. I'm the 10th of 10 children in my family. Our entire family are graduates of Hastings High School. From an early age, my parents stressed the importance of education, and my siblings led me by example. I attended the University of Minnesota Institute of Technology and also the University of Wisconsin, where I received a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and in Business. I entered the workforce and continued my education at the University of St. Thomas, where I achieved a Master of Science in Software Engineering, and more recently, I completed their mini MBA program. I have over 30 years experience in the legal technology, pharmaceutical, healthcare, agricultural, food supply, and technology industries. I'm currently a consultant in IT.
Thank you. Tashina?
Hello, my name is Tashina Miller. I have 4 children. We planted our roots here in Hastings about 8 years ago. I would be a great school board member because I'm kind-hearted, a good listener, and I try to see every situation from all points of view. I'm striving to create a better future for all children in our community, and I want our district to have open communication that results in a positive outcome. We also need to make sure that kids are getting the right emotional social support and able to safely express themselves in school. And recruit more diverse teachers by representation because that matters to all students. As a member of the school board, I will encourage teachers and staff to better connect with students and understand each child learns and behaves differently in different situations, because at the end of the day, the teachers and staff might be the only person that they have. I will make sure that our school provides a safe, healthy, and supportive environment for students and staff during and after schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
My name is Mike Reese. I've lived in Hastings about 9 years, married for over 20, and I have 2 kids. I am a lot more blunt and direct and don't hesitate to ask a lot of questions and stuff, and I know that's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. I'm a tech writer and trainer. I've trained over 6,000 people and taught over 600 different classes. I ran an IT business directly here in Hastings for about 8 years, and I won the Community Ed Lifelong Learning Award in 2017. I've also published 5 books on Microsoft Office and related subjects and stuff, so I do have a lot of experience seeing both sides of the training and what needs to be done. And I want to make sure that people are able to make their own choices and decisions for their kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Carrie?
I'm Carrie Vanazuski-Tate, and I'm a lifelong resident of Hastings. I'm a 1996 graduate. My husband graduated in 1995. We have 2 kids who are in 2nd and 6th grades, and I'm running for school board because I've seen the concerning things being pushed into public schools nationally. I've actually lost sleep over how I'm going to educate my kids in the future. And instead of coming up with a solution for only our family, I decided to get directly involved with making Hastings a great district and an option for everyone in the community. I believe public schools should be politically neutral in nature. Politics have continued to move into classrooms and influence decisions in districts. In my opinion, we need to change course. In my 20-plus years of working in supply chain, I've been a professional change agent, and I believe I have the skills to make a positive impact on our district. I've worked with a wide variety of people and always listened to their needs and concerns before and after implementing change, which I believe that is a critical part of any successful organization. Thanks.
Thank you, Carrie. Kelsey?
Good evening. My name is Kelsey Waits. I'm a mom of 2 and currently a full-time graduate student in public policy. I currently serve on numerous boards and committees throughout the community. My family and I moved to Hastings when my husband left the Navy. We looked at communities across the country but fell in love with it here. The great schools, the trail system, the parks. This was where we wanted to settle down. I've served on the board since 2017, where I've worked to engage community voices in decisions, such as our strategic planning process. I've also supported policies and initiatives to support all of our students' learning styles and needs, such as the AVID program. And I've supported our enrollment in a solar garden, which saves taxpayers money. I've learned a lot from my time on the board, especially how to work together with diverse opinions. Our board doesn't always agree, but we share our concerns and listen to one another in order to get things done for our kids. I'm running for re-election because I believe in this community and I want to continue being a voice for our students.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, the first question tonight is going to start with Scott and then continue on down and come back and finish with Jessica. The first question is, what do you feel is the biggest challenge ISD 200 is facing, and what role does the school board play in solving it?
Thank you for that. So in my 8 years on the board, this has been an issue essentially the entire time. Our most important issue in the next 2 years is decisions around our local levy funding. We know that declining enrollment in Hastings is happening. Our population has remained flat. Our growing demographic is age 55 plus, and our average family size is decreasing. This is going to drive less revenue for our schools. It has already. It will continue until the declining enrollment levels out, which hopefully we're seeing now. Our community has consistently been extremely generous in their support of our students and our schools. We will need to analyze further budget cuts in addition to our levy funding to keep our schools fiscally strong, our class sizes low, and our academic offerings excellent. We will continue to be good stewards of the funds that we receive to ensure the well-being of our district.
The time is up, Scott. Thank you very much. Sheena?
I think that enrollment is one of the biggest issues here in our district. Like he said, that without the enrollment, we are losing the funding for our schools, and the way that we as a district can make that happen is also working and communicating with our district and our community, and possibly opening up, more jobs, housing, and just being there for our community and just stretching it out to them and getting them to understand that we need their support with it also.
Thank you. Mike?
Continuing on that lower enrollment that Scott had brought up, that is a trend that we have been seeing consistently, and even the strategic plan for the next couple of years is also showing quite drastic changes in that, down a couple hundred employees over the next couple of years, or students rather, over the next couple of years. So, and we get on average $14,087 per student. So we've lost approximately 100 students this year. It could have been from policy changes, recommendations, a number of things, but we don't really know why all the students are leaving or deciding to not come to our Hastings schools. So I think we need to also reach out and find out, is it maybe a policy? Is it because you don't have the transportation, the time, whatever the case might be? And I think that we need to really focus on that because, again, like everyone is saying, that enrollment is declining, and that's where we get a lot of our funding from.
Thank you. Gary?
Yep, I need to follow in that same thread. Declining enrollment is a huge concern. And I think despite the fact that, we have an aging population in Hastings, the fact is that communities won't attract young families or young newlyweds to the Hastings district because if we don't have a solid school to offer, they just simply won't come. So I think we really need to look at the root causes of that and figure out why we are different maybe than other growing communities, and figure out what we can improve and how we can go about doing that to attract more young families to town here.
Thank you. Kelsey?
So school board has a lot of challenges coming up, including the budget adjustments, continuing uncertainty with COVID, and looking at solutions to decreasing enrollment, as others have said. We do have an enrollment question up later on where I will be happy to address many of these enrollment concerns. But for now, for this question, one of the biggest issues I see is that in attempting to address these challenges, we need to find ways for the board, our administrative team, and our community to work together to support our students. Because that teamwork, those relationships, that's how we handle any challenge that's coming our way. And right now, things are incredibly divisive. We have all seen it. We all know it. And how do we come together as Hastings to support our students and our community? Because that's how we handle any challenge that comes our way.
Thank you. Jessica?
I believe that the biggest problem facing our district is learning. There we go.
Try that again. Sorry about that.
I believe that the biggest problem facing our district is learning loss due to COVID-19. Our students were out of school or in and out of school for over 18 months, and I think that we really need to focus on evaluating where they're at now and figuring out ways to better help them move forward so that they're not just continuously behind where they're supposed to be. I also think that declining enrollment is a problem, but I think that that also can be addressed by reaching out to those families who have left the district, or reaching out to the families that live within the district who choose other schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, the second question is going to go to Sheena. The current levy will expire in a few years. What is your approach to tackling the budget concerns while balancing the needs of educators, our students, and the community?
As a member of the Hastings School Board, the resources that we are giving come from the local taxpayers. So we not only need to work together as a board to make decisions in the best interest of our students and the staff, but understand that the voters of our district trust us to spend wisely and not to come back to them with a levy and bond request until we absolutely must. And when we do that, we need to provide enough information to the voters so that they will understand why we are asking and what they will get for that investment. And we have a new superintendent who is doing a great job. and we work closely with him to ensure that every dime in the budget is counted for.
Thank you. Mike?
Kind of going off of what Tashina had said as well is we do need to look at that levy. I do see that about 90% of our funding would come from state and federal, not necessarily from the local level, but those do, every penny really counts in making sure that we can have those balanced budgets and focusing on it. So some of the things that just looking over the current budget and stuff is I had seen, $160,000 spent on carpet repairs. Again, I don't know all the details. I'm going to be upfront about that, so I can't necessarily say if that was necessarily a waste or anything, but looking at that, spending $160,000 on carpet might not be the best thing when you're low on money, as well as the solar. I think that is a great thing, and they had spent $40,000 on that solar garden, but on average it takes 6 to 8 years to recoup your money, and if we're short on money, I don't think that would necessarily be a wise investment at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie?
This is kind of my wheelhouse. I go into companies, I look at their operations, and I evaluate where they can save money. Over the years, I've spent my time analyzing all of this and working with people on how do you save money and how do you cut costs within an organization. One thing I've learned is absolutely no organization is 100% efficient, so it kind of becomes an all-team effort. I mean, I look at this and we've got about 650 staff. If each of those people can find some way of saving $5 a day, that's almost $800,000 a year. So when you get everybody involved and you really need to dig in and kind of look at opportunities, you count on the people who are the closest to the spends, so that they can analyze, so that they can really take a look at what they're doing, how they're doing it, and make good decisions for the district overall.
Thank you. Kelsey?
Yeah, thank you. First, I just want to address something that Mr. Reese had said, and that is that for our solar garden, we were actually paid. The district was paid to join the solar garden, and we continue to save an average of $100,000 a year due to signing up for that solar garden. That was a financially responsible choice. The budget is an ongoing process, and just last year we went through a significant round of budget reductions. As we worked through these adjustments, we surveyed parents, students, and staff in order to determine their priorities and their comfort level with different options that we had. After getting this input, the board then worked with our administrative team to come up with solutions and see what that would look like. Should more budget adjustments be necessary in the future, which I anticipate they would, we likely, I imagine, would use a similar approach, engage our community, set a school board direction from that feedback, and work with our administrative team to make it happen.
Thank you. Jessica? Apologies for the technical error.
To build off of what Carrie said, I believe that the board has a lot of work cut out for it, and that we need to enlist the help of teachers, administrators, and staff to identify where wasteful spending is happening. I think that would be the first point that you start at when you're going to go to ask the taxpayers for more money. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Scott?
Thank you. We actually have 2 levies. So we have one levy that will expire finishing up in fiscal year '24, and another that will expire 2 years after that. So at a minimum, we need to renew that levy. That is at a minimum. We also need to be active with our state legislature to ensure that we are receiving timely and sizable increases like we did this past year. We received a little over 2% on our budget, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's huge, especially for a district our size. Every year costs go up. Everybody wants a raise, just like we do. Cost of transportation goes up, etc. We need to engage the community as we have in the past and figure out what the best pathway forward is.
Thank you, Scott. All right, question 3 is going to be going to Mike. Is equity an important part of school curriculum and or culture? Why or why not?
I think it is. I think we need to not ignore the fact that there are differences in people, but I don't think that that's something that we should really focus on too much teaching of, because whether it's your race, ethnicity, sex, whatever the case might be, religion, I don't think that we should tell them that you are going to struggle more. I think that every one of the kids in all of our schools have that same opportunity to become a millionaire, a CEO, whatever they want to. You have to put forth the effort, and you have to try. Yes, it is important, again, to discuss this diversity and the inclusion that we have, but again, I don't think it's just proper to have to force some kids, or most kids rather, to learn about or be told different things, saying that you might not be, that you have a higher, more of an uphill battle than others, and when, again, I think that everyone really has that same opportunity.
Thank you, Mike. We'll wait here just a moment, so we're not distracting from the speaker. All right, Mike, you got it. Mike's a good guy. This is a lot of pressure to do it in front of everybody here, so apologies for the delay. All right, here. Thank you, Mike.
I don't agree with the current equity curriculum, and it's just because I believe that we need to look at each student as an individual and not group them into large groups based on their sex, race, etc. The roots of educational equity lie in critical race theory, which currently has 22 states working to ban it from being taught in public schools. Equity teaches kids to see race when they look at each other, and that systemic racism is everywhere. Kids are taught that there are these invisible barriers of systemic racism that are all around them, and I feel that that tells them that they are there to prevent them from being successful. So if and when they fail, my opinion is that will they really take ownership on themselves, or will they blame the system that's in place that's preventing them from being successful? I believe in teaching the American dream, that we can do anything that we want. Personally, I have a 12-year-old special needs daughter who needed a walker until she was 7 years old. She downhill skis now. I was not going to tell her what she could or couldn't do. I was going to let her figure that out for herself.
Thank you, Carrie. Kelsey.
Just to be clear, equity is not a curriculum. Equity is a value and a commitment to helping each and every child succeed. Although equity has been a buzzword lately, it is not new. In fact, the most successful and largest equity program in our schools is special education. It's about getting each and every student the supports that they need to succeed. Through the district passing our recent equity and diversity policy, we have made clear that we embrace individual differences in our schools and seek to support all of our students. Minnesota has some of the largest academic disparities in our country on numerous different demographic characteristics. Equity means looking at where these disparities occur and seeking to help support and lift up those students that are impacted. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica.
I believe that I agree with Carrie that equity is not the same as equality, and that our students shouldn't be looked at based on the color of their skin. We shouldn't be dividing them by their differences. We should be looking at how to educate all of our students regardless of those things. Everybody deserves an education, and public schools is where you're supposed to be able to get that free of bias, prejudice. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
Thank you. I'd just like to echo Kelsey's statement that equity is not a curriculum. Equity is not critical race theory. Equity is a value. Here's our policy. Here's what it says. All students and their families have dignity and worth. All students deserve equitable treatment, opportunities, and education. Our collective understanding of diversity and equity must continue to evolve and increase to be well-informed and ready to meet the needs and celebrate our ever-changing population. Educational equity means raising the achievement of all students while narrowing the achievement gaps between the lowest and highest performing students, narrowing the opportunity gap between all students, and eliminating racial or cultural
Scott, your time is up.
predictability.
Thank you. Tashina?
Well, this is an excellent question. I'm a part of a nonprofit here in Hastings called IDEA. We work with the BIPOC and LGBTQ families here to bring awareness and educate our community. I feel like equity is an important thing in our schools, just to make sure that every child, feels like they're accepted for no matter what, no matter where they come from, no matter if they come from a rich family, a family that doesn't have anything, maybe no parents at all. Just making sure that each child is feeling welcomed and safe, and just knowing that they do have a place that they can just be themselves and not have to worry about not being accepted.
Thank you. All right, question 4. Well, Carrie, you'll start with this one. Like most public school districts, ISD 200 faces competition when it comes to attracting families and students. What do you think attracts families to ISD 200 now, and what role does the school board play in increasing student enrollment?
I think currently we have a great diversity of class opportunities for our kids, whether it be arts, music, industrial arts type of opportunities. We also have great diversity in the extracurricular activities that we offer, along with, I think, what is a smallish town feel. I think the board needs to make sure that we are continuing the funding towards these activities and towards these things to make sure that we can continue to attract the families who are looking for really a well-rounded education for their kids.
Thank you. Kelsey.
Thank you. So as some mentioned earlier, we do have decreasing enrollment, which means our schools are receiving less funding than they had been in the past. Prior to the pandemic, the private schools in the community were also experiencing decreasing enrollment. This is not just a public school problem, this is a Hastings problem. The Hastings population has remained stagnant over the last 10 years. Meanwhile, the communities around us have grown 10 to 20% in 10 years. We have done outreach to the students who do not enroll in Hastings Public Schools. For most of these families, the reason they are not part of the schools is a logistical concern, because we have one of the geographically largest school districts in the metro area. It gets hard to get to the schools. Hastings has a lot of great things to offer. We have one of the best music programs in the state, smaller class sizes than surrounding districts, industrial tech classes. But as I said, this is about more than what the schools have to offer. This is about working with the community as a whole to find a solution for Hastings.
Thank you. Jessica.
My husband and I moved here to Hastings in 2008 because of the excellent school district that Hastings offered. The arts programs, the athletics, those are all things that weighed into our decision in moving here. Currently, Hastings has a graduation rate of 96%, so 96% of all high school students graduate, which is an awesome achievement for our district. I think that one way that we can keep competitive in comparison to other districts is by continuing to provide an education that will lead our students to success as adults. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
For me, what attracts our students is a little bit different than what retains our students. What retains our students is our excellent teaching staff. But you won't know that by looking at the outside of the building or looking at our website. What we will notice is our excellent offerings in academics, in arts, both performing and visual, and in our athletic programs. So when you look around at schools in the area, you won't find many that have a national champion show choir. You won't find many that have a state champion marching band or the nation's largest trap shooting team. These are all things that we can market to our students, to market to families. We've invested a lot in our facilities. Todd Field is beautiful. It's a showplace. Those are things that we can bring to families.
Thank you. Tashina.
I'm sorry, what number are we on again?
Yep. So,
Sorry.
question 4. It's all right. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, it's okay.
No, okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Like I said earlier today, I think if we increase our enrollment, we can increase it by providing housing for these families that do want to move out here and do want to bring their children out here to join our schools and even just live out here, not even just join the school, just live here. And also providing jobs for these families, just working more with the community and just getting them to understand that we are, working together to make it a better community for our students and our schools and to make our district, more known out there and to put Hastings, on the map. And as a community, we have to recognize that we are growing and more diverse. There's more people moving out here, different cultures, backgrounds, and also hiring more teachers for those students to look up to.
Thank you. Mike.
Well, I went to school in St. Paul, so much different feel. That was where you can reach out and touch the neighbor's house out of your window. So I like that it's out of the city. It has that real country feel. I have a lot of friends that think that we're way out in Timbuktu, but it's really obviously not that far. I think that we need to try to develop some of the other skills that the students can look into, like aptitudes and stuff, because although I'm a computer nerd and everything and love the technology and everything related and want to try to help people get more involved with that, there's plenty of other different areas that we can focus on as well. It's not just that art and music and stuff. It's some of those other things that people might want to might show interest in, because not everybody needs or wants to go to a 4-year college. Some trade schools are just great and work fine for everybody.
Thank you. All right, question 5. Kelsey, you'll start with this one. When you look at the district's new strategic plan, what part is most compelling to you and why?
I think the most compelling part to me is something that you won't see when you look at our strategic planning document. And that's the fact that the board did not create this plan alone. The plan reflects the values of our community. I'd like to point out this is our first strategic plan. We had a survey go out to our community members. We received 1,386 survey responses. And some people may not see that as big. As someone who has a master's degree in statistics, I can tell you that is a very high percentage of a community to get to respond to a survey. We received current and former employees' input. A total of 80 participated. For families that don't typically partake in surveys, we did outreach to these families, such as those who don't speak English as a first language, and we held forums to communicate with them and to have translators available. We also worked with our community engagement committee in order to outreach to community members who don't have kids in the school. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica.
The core values of the new strategic plan are most compelling to me because they're student-centered. They promote an environment where all students can do their best and work towards and achieve their goals. This is important to me as a parent and as a community member. Thank you.
Scott, thank you.
To build off of what Kelsey was talking about, one of the other items that we did in our strategic planning that I thought was really remarkable was we built a story wall, kind of the story of the school from the beginning to the current and some of the events that have occurred during that time. I thought that was really interesting, along with the survey responses that drove how we fleshed out our strategic plan. Personally, I'm most excited about the level of governance that we are operating at versus where we were at previously. So it pulls us up to a higher level of oversight over the schools and allows us to do some of the important strategic planning, 3-5-year plans that perhaps we didn't have as much time to do previously. So that's what I'm most excited about in our strategic plan.
Thank you, Scott. Tashina.
In reviewing the board's recent strategic plan, I think it's well done. I love how it starts by saying students are the heart of all we do. That really says it all. Also, the core values are excellent, being student-centered, treating each other with compassion and respect, being innovative and agile, able to respond to issues and events, and focused on understanding the feelings of others around. I also think it's great that the strategic plan emphasizes the importance of creating and carrying an inclusive culture for all, how everyone is supported academically based on their interests and needs, and that the plan says it's important to develop our students into individuals with different perspectives as they go into the world, whether it's off to college or directly into the workforce.
Thank you. Mike.
Yeah, so a lot of the kind of what Tashina had mentioned as well is the one voice. I don't think that we really actually listen to everybody the way that we should. I think though the surveys are great starting points and everything, I think that some of this information is just based off of maybe more of the people's in charge views and not necessarily the Hastings residents, or they might be on outdated surveys and stuff, not saying that Kelsey's was outdated or anything, just in general, just trying to look at that. I think that if we really want to say that we want to include everybody, we actually need to include everybody instead of limiting or picking and choosing of what you can do or what you can't do. This political organization you can have stuff on, this one you might not be able to. It should be kind of an all or nothing to make it fair for everybody.
Thank you. Curie.
Since I'm kind of an analytical geek, I'm going to say that the most appealing part of this whole thing is to develop metrics and be able to look at how we're doing year over year, and also have some sort of a sense for, hopefully, how we're doing versus other districts. Because really, until you understand what your baseline is and where you're starting and where you're heading and look at trends, you have no idea really what you need to focus on and what you do well and what you really don't do so well versus other districts, and like I said, and versus yourself too. I think that that's a very important starting point for any strategic plan.
Thank you very much. All right, the final question will be presented to Jessica first. The school board makes decisions regarding policies that impact the physical and mental health and well-being of students, teachers, and staff of the district. How would you make these decisions, and what sources of information would you rely on in making these decisions?
So first of all, let's listen to this first part. School boards make decisions regarding policies that impact physical and mental health. I don't think that's a school board's job. I think the school board's job is to provide education to our students. I think that the health of our students is up to the parents, guardians. That's not a school board decision. I believe that it's a parent decision. We are the ones who know our children the best. We should be the ones who make the decisions for them as far as their health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
I couldn't disagree more. We heard loud and clear from our community, from our parents, and from our staff in the past 2 years what we needed to do in the realm of mental health in our schools. We did so. We already had an incredible amount of mental health supports in our system. We increased it. We reached out to Canvas Health. We reached out to Sternow and Associates for counseling services, not only for our students, but for our staff. This is what responsible school districts do. We protect our students. We protect our families. That is what is important That is what I've done, and that is what I will continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Tashina.
The most important thing our school district can do to ensure that all students and staff are healthy and that our students are able to receive a high-quality education without being injured, feeling threatened, or exposed to something that will make them seriously ill. Our responsibility as a member of the school board is to request and listen to the information from knowledgeable individuals who have been trained in the area of expertise and then act accordingly. That approach just makes sense whether we're talking about a virus, a disease, or a safety concern such as a weapon or threats of violence in our schools. We have a legal and moral obligation to protect our kids and teachers if we know that there is something that could put them in harm's way. I'm not going to second guess that decision or what our board has made given the information that they have at the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike.
I'm kind of a mixture on this because I don't think that the school board should be making some of those decisions, much like Jessica had said. I do think that it is important to make sure that our students are safe and secure, that from violence, from bullying, definitely big parts that affect the children's mental health. But whether or not we want to acknowledge it, COVID is one of the most discussed things. I know that there's plenty of other things on the school board and stuff, but those are things that are affecting the kids, they're affecting the parents and stuff, and those are some of the decisions that I think that should be made by the parents because they're the ones that know the children best and stuff. And I do understand that first year when COVID had come around that the school board did everything that they could with the teachers, and I think they did a great job. It's just, I think that some of these decisions should be left up to the parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie.
All right, well, start off with physical health. Bullying, as Mike mentioned, I think is a pretty high concern for a lot of parents. In speaking with voters, honestly, I've heard a lot of feedback about concerned parents that have where their kids have experienced bullying, and there hasn't necessarily been repercussions for the bullies. So I think, one, we need to develop the policies, but we also need to make sure that that is executed. Also about the physical health, I think, beginning of the pandemic, I think that decisions were made, and now I think we can look back and say that they may not have been the right decisions. At this point, we should have absolute 100% scientific evidence that we can make decisions on regarding like masking. I think we don't have that, unfortunately. So I think the masking thing needs to be left up to the parents. Regarding mental health, I'm very concerned about where our mental health status is. I've talked to staff members in the past couple of weeks, and they've expressed their concern about exponential mental health issues in the schools right now.
Thank you, Carrie. Kelsey.
Yes, there is no question that mental health problems are continuing to rise in our students, and this is a trend that we have been seeing for a long time now. I, like Scott, firmly believe that school boards should be working to get mental health supports to our students, as have a vast majority of our parents and our students and our staff. Mental health was considered the #1 concern in the recent outreach we had done to our parents. As Scott said, we have a partnership with Canvas Health and Sternow and Associates, and we also have a new partnership with the United Way, working with a Communities in Schools program where they are also helping us get mental health support into our schools. Mental health is also a concern with equity. Equity is not just about one thing. How do we get these students who are struggling the supports they need so that they can have the same opportunities to succeed academically as other students who are not struggling? Bullying is a huge issue as well that should be addressed as part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. It's time for the closing statements. Kelsey, you'll start.
Yes, so thank you again for putting on this forum tonight, and I appreciate everyone who came here to take the time to listen. While there are a lot of hot-button issues that we hear about in the press, it is important to remember that school boards make far more decisions for our district than we see reflected in the news. It's important to recognize that and to elect board members who are willing to work together to support our students and all of the unique needs that they may have. During my 4 years on the board, I have worked hard to include community and staff input in our decisions, engage with community members, and work with the rest of the board members as a team to best serve our district and our community. I would love to earn your vote next month and have the opportunity to continue this work for another 4 years. If you ever have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am incredibly open to communication and to answering any questions or concerns or clarifying things if you have a question. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're not going to be coming back around. Carrie, if you don't mind, we're just going to go right back across. Thank you.
Right. I have a lot of experience, knowledge, and skills that make me a great candidate for school board. I've managed multi-million-dollar budgets in the past and am a creative problem solver, and I've also worked very well with people of all backgrounds to come up with solutions and especially in developing long-term solutions. I've implemented changes in companies that have resulted in millions of dollars in savings, and I think all of this, along with my passion for making a positive solution that for all families, would make me a great school board member. Thank you for the opportunity to participate tonight, and also thanks to everyone for listening.
Thank you. Mike.
As some of you may know, I am very outspoken, and again, I know that taste is not for everybody, but you do know where I stand on these subjects. So there's no of me trying to beat around the bush, try to evade anything. If you have these questions, you can ask me, and I will be blunt. And sometimes it's not answers that you might want to hear, and sometimes it might not even be answers that I want to say, as far as like the levy as an example. So I just want people to know that you know where I stand, and I'm going to question a lot of the things. If a new policy, new rule, or science comes out and stuff, I'm not saying I know everything, not in any way, shape, or form, but I'm going to question it, and I want to get to the bottom of it instead of just agreeing with just because other people had done that. Thank you.
Thank you. Tashina.
Thanks everyone for coming tonight and listening to my share of ideas for the school board. I want to also say people in our school districts understand, all of you understand that our children's futures matter, just as well as the community's futures matter. We all love our kids and want the best for them, so it's important for us that we give them the education to set them up for success. Excuse me. I feel strongly about this, and this is why I'm running for school board. We need to have a productive discussion and debate. We need to respect each other's opinions, weigh the facts and figures, hear from experts, and listen to the parents and staff, and make decisions based on that information we have. I hope I can earn your vote next month, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
We care, we empower, we achieve. Students are the heart of all we do. That's our district's mission statement. I bring the professional and school board experience as an incumbent that will help shape our educational future. In both my professional and personal life, I am known as a reasonable, logical person with a penchant for problem solving, building consensus, and making difficult decisions. I approach issues with an open mind, I ask thoughtful questions, and I look for options for resolution, always with our students' well-being at the forefront. I would ask for your support on November 2nd to allow me to continue to serve our community and our schools. We care, we empower, we achieve. Students are the heart of all we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming to the forum tonight. Even after 13 years in the community, it still amazes me to see how many parents are so involved in their kids' education. As we look forward to next month, my goals as a school board member would be to work towards academic achievements of our students. Having a senior this year, it's really important to me that our kids, when they get out into the world, that they are able to provide for themselves, they're able to achieve their dreams, achieve their goals, and they can't do that without the basic fundamentals of education that they would receive here at Hastings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could we give a round of applause to all the candidates, please? Thank you. All right. And thank you again for coming out tonight and for listening to all the views that were shared. I know it's kind of a contentious time, not just here in Hastings, but across the country. So I'm very appreciative that all of you were so respectful, and I hope all of you go out and vote as you should. Thank you very much. Have a good night.